Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Pharmacy with Preeti. So today we will be discussing one of the important topic under AIT, that is called as mass spectroscopy. Let's begin. So before understanding the mass spectroscopy, we need to understand some of the basic concepts why we are using these mass spectroscopy, what is the purpose of using such mass MS. So here we are aware of various chromatographic techniques such as HPLC and GC, right, which is useful for the separation of the components present in the sample. Now once the components is separated by these systems called HPLC and GC, these separated components are allowed to pass through MS. Why so? Because the components which are separated by such chromatographic technique, we are unable to identify its structure, its molecular formula and its molecular weight. So in order to identify its molecular weight and elucidate its structure, the MS is used. Now once the sample gets separated, it is allowed to pass through the MS. Before entering into the MS, it is passed through the interfaces. Now what is the role of interfaces? The interfaces will help in converting the states of molecules, meaning here in chromatography the samples are separated in the form of liquids, whereas the MS is operated in the gaseous phase, and therefore these interfaces will help in converting from liquid state to the gaseous state of the components. Next is the interfaces comprises of the ionization source, and there are different ionization techniques. It ionizes the neutral molecules which is coming from the HPLC and the GC systems into the ionized form. So in this presentation we will be discussing some of the ionization techniques, whereas rest of the ionization technique I will make a separate video of it. Next is the interfaces are also helps in reducing the pressure. That is, the chromatography is operated at a very high pressure of almost 760 torr, whereas the MS is operated at a very low pressure, that is vacuum condition, almost vacuum condition. Therefore these interfaces play an important role in reducing the pressure. In case of GCMS, the samples are separated in the form of gas phase only. So these interfaces are not used in the ionization process. In fact, these interfaces in case of GCMS will help in excluding the mobile phase. We know that the most commonly used mobile phase in the GC system is helium. So it will help in eliminating the helium gas. Next is the mass spectroscopy is useful in determining the molecular weight as well as the molecular formula. We have discussed it earlier, right? Next is the physics behind a mass spectroscopy is that the charged particles which is passing through electric and a magnetic field, it gets deflected along a circular path on a radius that is proportional to mass to charge ratio. So earlier I have talked about the ionization process. So in this, the molecules which are coming from the HPLC and the GC system, it is ionized by the various ionization technique, and these ions is further allowed to pass through across a magnetic field. Because of these electric and the magnetic field, these charged particles will deflect depending upon their masses, right? So here let's have a look on the pathway. The sample, the components which are coming from the sample inlet, that is from the HPLC and the GC system, it is subjected to ionization process. During ionization, the neutral form of the molecule gets converted into the ionized form, right? Now these ionized form of the molecules, if it is unstable, then it will undergo further fragmentation, which results in the formation of various fragment molecules having different masses. Now these fragments are then accelerated towards the electromagnetic field, where depending upon the masses of each fragment, it gets deflected along a circular path, right? It gets deflected along a circular path, and the analyzer will detect the signals, whereas the detector will help us in interpreting the molecular weight. So let's understand the how the MS works. So here the high energy beam of electrons, it is used to displace an electron from the organic molecule to form a radical cation, which is referred to as molecular ion. And if this molecular ion is unstable, then it will undergo further fragmentation to a smaller ions, which is nothing but the fragment ions. Okay, so here what happens, as soon as the gas phase molecules approaches to the ionization chamber, here you can see the diagram, that as soon as the gas phase molecules, that is the vaporized form of the molecules, approaches to the ionization chamber, the electrons, the external electrons, which is produced by the electron beam, it is going to displace the electrons of that organic component, organic molecules, which results in the formation of the radical cation. This radical cation is referred to as molecular ion. And if this molecular ion is unstable, then it will undergo further fragmentation, which results in the formation of different fragments having the different molecular weight, right? Now these fragments are passed through the electromagnetic field, where depending upon mass to charge ratio, it gets deflected along a circular path, meaning the heavier molecules or the molecules which are having the high molecular weight will be deflected at a lower pace, whereas the lighter molecules will be deflected at a faster pace. Further, the signals will be amplified, analyzed and detected by the detectors. So before understanding the ionization techniques, let's understand some of the basic terms which are used during the MS. Now let's first define what is molecular ion peaks. The molecular ion peak is the first peak. Here you can see the graph. It is of percent abundance versus mass to charge ratio. Okay, the graph is plotted for MS as percent abundance or intensity versus mass to charge ratio. So here the molecular ion peak is the first peak, right? And the molecular ion is obtained by the loss of electron from the molecule, and this molecular ion peak is useful for determining the molecular weight. So here I have defined what is molecular ion and how it is obtained. When the electron is passed through the vaporized form of the molecules, that electron is going to displace the electron from the organic molecule, which results in the formation of molecular ion. Okay, and this molecular ion peak is the first peak. So here you can see at 120 it represents the molecular peak, and this molecular peak will help in determining the molecular weight. So here the compound called acetophenone is having a molecular weight of 120, And how this molecular peak is obtained? When this acetophenone is subjected, when the vaporized form of the acetophenone is subjected to the electron beam source, where the electron beam source is going to bombard the electrons onto this acetone compound, which replaces the electron, one of the electron from the acetophenone, and results in the formation of a molecular ion, which is nothing but the radical cation. Radical cation, how can we define radical cation? Radical cation is nothing but it is a positively charged species with an odd number of electrons, right? So radical ion is a positively charged species with an odd number of electrons, meaning those species which contains a positive charge as well as one odd electron. So I will show you the diagram of it. So the first structure here, it represents the acetophenone structure. When it is subjected to the electron beam source, the electron is going to bombard onto this structure and it is going to knock out one of the electrons of the oxygen. Once one of the electrons it gets knocked out, the oxygen will now bear a positive charge and a odd number of electron, that is nothing but the radical, and hence it is referred to as radical cation. And this radical cation is nothing but the molecular ion, which is having the molecular weight of 120. Now let's understand what is base peak. It is a most intense peak in the MS and it gives 100% abundance. The base peak is considered to be the largest peak, meaning once the molecular ion is obtained, let's understand the diagram. Once this molecular ion is obtained, if it is unstable, then it will undergo further fragmentation. It will be undergoing further fragmentation. So one of the fragments which is having the abundance of almost 100%, meaning the fragments which are in highest quantity, we can say those fragments which are in highest quantity is considered to be as base peak. So in this case, this structure bearing the molecular weight of 105 is found to have a relative abundance of almost 100%, and therefore this structure is considered to be as base peak. I hope you understood the base peak. Next is, what is fragment ions? These are nothing but the lighter cations or the daughter cations which is formed due to the decomposition of the molecular ion, and this often corresponds to the stable carbocation. So here I have said that these molecular ion, if it is unstable, then it will undergo the further fragmentation to form a stable molecule. Okay, this is nothing but the fragment ions. Okay, all these are fragment ions, and those fragment which is having the relative abundance, or we can say the percent abundance of almost 100%, is considered to be as base peak. So in this case of acetophenone, this structure has the abundance of 100% at mass to charge ratio 105. Next is we are going to study the different types of ionization techniques. Starting with electron ionization. Electron ionization is considered to be as hard ionization technique. Hard ionization technique refers to the molecules experiences excessive fragmentation, or the molecules will undergo excessive fragmentation. Here the molecules will not remain stable in one form. It is going to undergo further fragmentation. Okay, Now, in this case, the gas phase samples are bombarded with the electrons which is coming from the rhenium or the tungsten filament. So, there is a source, consider there is a source region inside the ionization chamber wherein the gas phase sample, okay, the vaporized waves of the sample is introduced and it is bombarded with the electrons which is generated by the rhenium or the tungsten filament. Now, these electrons which are generated by this filament is accelerated to high energy by creating electric field, because of which the energy of the electrons gets increased, right? So once these electrons having the high energy bombards onto the gas phase molecules, then the valence shell of the electrons from the gas phase molecules gets removed to produce the radical ion, and this radical ion is nothing but the molecular ion. Since these electrons, okay, these electrons which are bombarding onto these sample molecules, since it is accelerated at high energy, so its energy is approximately 70 electron volt, and in most of these electron ionization process, the 70 electron volt energy is utilized to accelerate the electrons, and therefore it is also referred to as 70 electron volt electron ionization process. Now in this experiment, we are providing the 70 electron volt energy electrons, but out of that only 15 electron volt energy is actually transferred during the ionization process, and out of that 15% only 10 electron volt is utilized by the organic compound to undergo ionization. And a typical chemical bond has a energy of only 3 electron volt, meaning if a compound, consider a compound containing single bond carbon. Now these single bond, it is represents the chemical bond energy which is almost 3 electron volt. The bond energy is 3 electron volt. That single bond energy is 3 electron volt. Consider it is to be 3 electron volt. Now since we are providing the 70 electron volt electrons, okay, 70 electron volt electrons, and out of that 70 electron volt only 15 electron volt is actually transferred during the ionization process, and it says that the 10 electron volt is sufficient to carry out ionization. But a typical chemical bond, meaning consider for carbon-carbon single bond, that single bond energy is only 3 electron volt. Since the by providing such a high energy, the molecules will experience excessive fragmentation, meaning here this molecular ion will not remain stable at this state. In fact, it will undergo excessive fragmentation, and hence it is referred to as hard ionization technique. So okay, so it will result in the variety of fragments, and because of these formation of varieties of fragments, we could not be able to find the molecular weight of the compound if the ionization is carried out through electron ionization process. Next is chemical ionization. So to overcome the drawback of the electron ionization, the chemical ionization is introduced, wherein it is referred to as soft ionization technique. Why so? Because here the molecules will not undergo excessive fragmentation. Here the ionization is achieved by the interaction of the molecule with the reagent gas, and the analyte is ionized by the chemical ion molecular reaction during the collision in the source. The ions which are produced are relatively stable and it will not undergo further fragmentation. So what happens in chemical ionization is, here it consists of a enclosed chamber, or we can say a small cell, which is having a three different openings. For one is for the electron beam, another is for the reagent gas, and the third opening is for the sample. Now in a typical mass spectrum, about 10 raised to power minus 3 pascals pressure is maintained, where the mean free path is found to be 2 meter and the collision is unlikely to happen. So in case of typical mass spectrum, okay, here in case of normal mass spectrum, the pressure which is maintained is only 10 raised to power minus 3. At such a low pressure, the mean free path between the electrons and the reagent gas will be 2 meter. So at such a long distance, there is a less chances of collision to happen. Therefore, in case of chemical ionization, the reagent gas is introduced at a very high pressure, that is at approximately 10 pascal pressure, which is greater than 10 raised to power minus 3 pascal, right? Because of such high pressure, the mean free path between the collision of the reagent gas and the electrons is just 10 raised to power minus 4 meter. And now here the analyte will undergo many collisions. So here the reagent gas in the CI source gets ionized by the electrons which is coming from the electron beam to produce the cloud of ions. So in this reaction, we can see that the methane is used as a reagent gas, where it is bombarded with the electrons coming from the electron beam source, and it will produces a cloud of ions, that is CH4 plus. This is nothing but the primary ion. Now these primary ion will further react with the reagent gas. Okay, it will react with the reagent gas. Again, it is going to react with the reagent gas to produce the adduct such as CH5 plus and C2H5 plus. This is nothing but the secondary ions. Now when the analyte molecule is introduced into the source region, the reagent gas donates a proton to the analyte molecules and produces the M plus H plus ions. So here, when the analyte is introduced by the third opening into the cell, now these secondary ions, that is CH5 plus and C2H5 plus, it is going to donate the proton to these analyte molecules. M represents the analyte molecules. So there are three different mechanisms by which the donation of proton will takes place. First is protonation, wherein the CH5 plus is going to donate one of the proton to the M, resulting in formation of M plus H plus ions. Second mechanism is adduct ion formation, wherein the CH5 plus will wholly react with these analyte to form M plus CH5 plus. And by the third mechanism is that CH4 plus will react with the analyte molecules to form, by the charge exchange, the charge is going to exchange between them, like CH4 plus is going to donate its charge to the analyte molecule. So here A plus represents the analyte molecules. So by the charge exchange process, the protonation has happened, and now these protonated molecules will be entering into the analyzer for its detection. All right. So here is a diagram of the chemical ionization process. Here it comprises of a cell. There are three openings for the one is for the reagent gas, second is for the sample, and the third is for the electron source. Now, as soon as the reagent gas enters, the electron is going to bombard, and it will result in the formation of primary ions firstly, followed by the secondary ion formation. Now, because of the introduction of the sample, these secondary ions will interact with these analyte molecules, and there will be charge transfer. The protonation will be happening. Okay, there will be charge transfer, or the protonation will be happening to the with the sample molecules, and now these protonated analyte molecules will be accelerated towards the mass analyzer for its detection. Alright, next is the third ionization technique is fast atom bombardment. So it is based on the principle of desorption technique. It was first developed by the Michael Barber, and in this case the analyte molecules are mixed with the non-volatile substances such as which is referred to as matrix. Now, what are the characteristics of ideal matrix? Is that it should be non-volatile and inert. It should have a low vapor pressure liquid, meaning those matrix which is having the higher boiling point. Okay, the matrix which is having the higher boiling point. So the most common examples of such is glycerol, thioglycerol, 3-nitrobenzyl alcohol, diethanolamine, triethanolamine, etc. Now these sample matrix mixtures is placed into the probe tip of the source region. So here is the probe tip. Here is the probe tip where this green part represents the analyte matrix mixture, which is spotted onto this probe tip, okay, of the source region, and then it is bombarded with the high energy neutral atoms such as argon and xenon. Now the ionization is achieved by impacting the fast moving heavy atoms such as argon and xenon. Here what happens is, firstly the fast moving atoms are produced. The fast moving atoms of the argon and the xenon is produced. In order to so here the argon and the xenon gas is firstly ionized by the electrons. Okay, then this results in the formation of the primary ions. These primary ions will be accelerated towards the collision chamber, where it is again introduced with the neutral molecules of the argon and xenon. Now these primary ion will interact with these neutral molecules, and it will result in the formation of the fast moving atoms. Okay, now these fast moving atoms here during the collision, the charge which is present on the primary ions, it gets transferred. Okay, inside a collision chamber, the primary ions, the charge which is present on the primary ions, it gets transferred to the slow moving neutral atoms, which results in the formation of fast moving neutral ions, and it is directed to the source region, okay, at the probe tip where the sample analyte mixture is placed. So let's see the diagram. In this, it represents a probe tip. Okay, this is a whole it is a source region which comprises of a probe tip. The green part represents the analyte matrix mixture. Now it is ionized by, or the ionization is carried out by the fast moving argon and the xenon gas molecules. So in this, the argon and the xenon gas molecules are introduced, where the electron beam is firstly going to ionize these gases, resulting in formation of primary ions. Now these primary ions will be accelerated towards the collision chamber, okay, wherein it will be introduced with the fresh neutral molecules of argon and xenon gas. The primary ions, which is having a charge, it will be transferred to that neutral molecules of the argon and xenon gas, resulting in formation of fast moving atoms. Now these fast moving atom, okay, these fast particle beam, fast moving atom, it is going to bombard onto this analyte matrix mixture. So the most commonly used matrix here is glycerol, because it is a low vapor pressure liquid. Now, so here the sample on the probe gets ionized when it is bombarded with the fast moving atoms of argon and xenon. Firstly, the glycerol molecules gets ionized to form the glycerol ions, okay, and then these glycerol ions, because of its instability, it further reacts with the surrounding glycerol molecules, which further leads to the transfer of proton from the glycerol molecules to the analyte molecules to generate a quasi-molecular ion. Quasi-molecular ion is nothing but the protonated form of the analyte molecules, which will be further accelerated towards the MS analyzers for its detection. I hope you understood the ionization techniques. So in today's video, I have covered only the 3 ionization technique, and the remaining ionization technique will be covering in the next video. Thank you.